This meeting is being live streamed.
Good Shabbos, everybody. Welcome to Shomrei Torah Synagogue on live stream and Zoom. Haven't been here for a couple weeks, so it's good to be back. It's always good to be with Chazan Joel Smith. Checked in with Cantor Raffi today. She is doing great, sends her regards to everybody in the community and everybody who joins us on our regular Shabbat services. She, Baby, and Lev are all doing fantastically. And she will be back with us the end of December, God willing. So in the meantime, here we are together to offer an opportunity for you to bring Shabbat into your home, into your community, wherever it is that you may be. We're going to start with Siddur Lev Shalem. I'm also going to share on the screen in just a moment the Zoom link so you can come in and join us for Kabbalat Shabbat services. Get your candlesticks and Nerot and your candles ready. Right before L'Chadodi, we're going to light candles together. So if any of you are here in Zoom, we'll invite you to light candles for us. That's going to be around 6:10-ish, something like that, when we get to L'Chadodi. So I'm going to share the screen, and Chazan Smith is going to start us off with Lechuna Ranana on page 11.
Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, l'Adonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, nikadma fanav betoda. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, l'Adonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, l'Adonai. Adonai, ki el gadol Adonai umelech olam kol. Arbaim shana kut bador, omaram to'e levavheim, vehem lo yadu derachai. Asher nishbati ve'api im yavon el menuchati.
Continuing, we join together on page 13, the second psalm for Shabbat. It is Shir L'Adonai, join us together.
Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim nifleotav. Ki gadol Adonai, hulal me'od, norahu, al kol Elohim, ay, ki kol Elohe, ha'amim elilim, v'Adonai shamayim asa, hod v'hadar lefanav, oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho, havul Adonai mishpechot amim, havul Adonai kavod va'oz, havul Adonai kevod shemo, seu mincha, uvo lechatzrotav, ay, hishtachavu l'Adonai behadra kodesh, chilu mipanav kol haaretz, imru v'goyim, Adonai malach, aftikon tevel, bal timot, yadin amim b'meisharim, yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz, yiram hayam, umlo יעלו שדי, וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל הצייר, לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים באמונתו,
Continue silently to our next psalm, page 15. Adonai Malach.
שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו.
Page 17.
שיר אדוני שיר חדש, כי נפלאות עשה, הושיע אלוהים אלוהינו קודשו. לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים.
Page 19, and then we're going to join in together the bottom of page 20 in a moment for the singing of Romemu.
אדוני מלך יגזו עמים, יושב קרון תנות הארץ, אדוני בצאן גדול. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו.
I want to welcome you, Meyer. Thank you for joining us on our Zoom screen. I'm going to share the screen one more time for those of you who would like to join us. I
realized, Rabbi, that I forgot to put on a talit, so I'm going to go grab a talit really fast.
Perfect. Well, while you are grabbing a talit, Chazan, I will share with everybody that if you look at page 21, the psalm that we are going to sing, it is very reflective of our experience earlier in the week when we were struck by the sounds of thunder and lightning. It was a pleasant surprise. I don't know about you, but in my household, we all ran outside to feel the rain. It had been so long and there was such joy. And we started saying Mashif Haruach Umorid Hagashem just a week ago at the end of Simchat Torah. So it was perfect timing. And of course, we hope and pray that the sound of thunder and lightning will continue. Tonight, I heard that there is a meteor shower as it gets dark early or in the early side of this evening. So again, a reflection of the power of godliness that is expressive of this psalm on page 21. I'm going to share the screen once again, and we invite those of you who would like to join us to come on in. And if any of you do join us and have candles, we will light them in a few minutes. We rise, page 21.
Havul Adonai b'nelim, Kavod v'oz, ay, 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 havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, hishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadra kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, el haktabod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, kol Adonai ba'koach, ay, 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 kol Adonai be'adar, kol Adonai shover arazim, v'shaber Adonai et arzei ha'levanon, v'yarkidem kamo egel Levanon, v'sirion כמו בן רעמים, ay, 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 kol Adonai chotzev lahavodesh, kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, kol Adonai yecholel ayalod, vayechesov ye'arod, ובהיכלו וכלו אומר כבוד, ay, 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 אדוני למבול ישב וישב, אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. ay, 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 yai, yai, ay, ay, yai, 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 yai.
So I'm guessing, Chazan Smith, everybody is getting ready to watch the Dodger game this evening. Perhaps why they're not on Zoom, but that's okay. There it is. Go blue. Mayor, do you happen to have candlesticks in front of you with candles that you would like to light? I didn't hear you, but I'm assuming the answer was they're already lit.
My wife is lighting.
Okay, perfect. So
She's
then
in the other room right now. She's making dinner and everything else. So.
Okay, so hopefully all of you will take a moment, light your candles, and we are going to, you may be seated, and we are going to continue with the Chadodi on page 23.
Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela shamor v'zachor b'diburecha ishmianu el hamyuchad Adonai echad ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת וליתי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוך סוף מעשה ומחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה היי מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה רב לך שבט ויעמק הבכה והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התנערי מעפר קומי לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי קרבה אל נפשי גאלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לא תבושי ולא תקלמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תמי בך יחסו עניי עמי ונבנתה עיר אל תילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה והיו למשיסה שוסייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהיך כמסוס חתן על כלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי בידת אדוני תריצי על יד איש בן פרצי ונשמחה ונאה יגילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Continuing now in our service on page 27, our Psalm for Shabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שמחת אני אתם בפניך הזה. עוד ירבו בשיבה דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולה תבוא.
Adonai Malach.
עדותיך דמנו מאוד לביתך נא בקודש, אדוני לאורך ימים.
Before we jump to Mourner's Kaddish and leave Kabbalat Shabbat, I want to take a few minutes and reflect on the last two Psalms, but even many of the Psalms that we just recited. If you paid close attention to the Psalms, you'll notice that there's heavy imagery of nature, and that's because our ancestors, I think, in many ways were much more connected to nature than we are today, living as we do in concrete jungles that we call cities. And so for us, oftentimes we have to reconnect to nature with a purposeful intent to actually go outside and enjoy the world around us, or through movies or books. While I do go outside a lot, I connect through nature oftentimes through books, the books that I read. And as you know from hearing other sermons that I've given in the past, you know that I enjoy very much reading books that have to do with nature. So one of the books that I read not too long ago, it's an old book by Annie Dillard, who is a beautiful author, a naturalist who writes often about nature. In this book, Teaching a Stone to Talk, she writes the following passage, and this is a series of essays of reflections of the world around her. She writes, it's titled Insects. I like insects for their stupidity. A paper wasp is fumbling at the stained glass window on my right. I saw the same sight in the same spot last Sunday. Psst, idiot, sweetheart, go around by the door. I hope we seem as endearingly stupid to God, bumbling down into lamps, running half-wit across the floor, banging for days at the hinge of an open door. I hope so. It does not seem likely. There's something that I find to be profoundly beautiful about this passage in comparing wasps, seemingly foolish wasps, who go according to their nature, to human beings who sometimes don't go according to their nature, even though we should. And I say this, and I read this in the context of a very powerful Devar Torah that Rabbi Noah Farkas shared this week. Was or still could be one of the rabbis at VBS, although he's moving to lead the federation. And he writes in his Devar Torah, it's a little bit long, but I'm going to read it for you because I think it powerfully expresses the contrast between this passage from Annie Dillard and what it means to be a human being. He writes, what makes us unique as human beings is our flourishing spans more than one lifetime. We are the only species on the planet that builds on the past to create the future. Pause. Unlike the wasp, who continues to do things in the moment, not thinking about the future or the past, so human beings function differently. As Rabbi Farkas goes on to say, bees, for example, create hives to live, but the bees of today do not build more technologically advanced hives than they did a million years ago. There are no bee elevators, bee trains, there are only bee hives. Ants build colonies, but even with their power of collectivity, when a klutzy foot stomps upon their mighty hill, they don't convene a meeting to discuss how to build a foot-proof structure. They go about building it as it was before. Only we, over our history of thousands of years, have used the collective wisdom and passed it on. A 100-story building is only possible because long ago, someone learned to build a 2-story one. Rockets are only possible because many people figured out how to work metal, learned the aerodynamics, discovered the secret to containing explosions, did the calculations, learned from centuries of calculation of navigation by the stars to now learn to navigate to them. So clearly in his essay, in his Devar Torah, he points out to the uniqueness of the human ability to learn from the past, to build in the present, to create a better future. And yet our Torah portion, Parshat Noach, gives us any number of examples of human beings that don't learn from the past to build in the present for a better future. In fact, they build a world that is filled with Hamas, with corruption and violence, and God has to wipe it out. And yet, but a few generations later, they build a Tower of Babel into the sky as an expression of their own ego. And building that tower is so much more important, according to the Midrash, than the souls, than the human beings who fell off that tower and were crushed by the desire to build that tower to the sky. So it seems, according to our Torah portion, that as creative as human beings are, learning from the past to build in the present for the sake of the future, often it's at the expense of God and each other. There is a hubris about how we create. And perhaps what we need to do in moments like this, as we read the Psalms and think about that thunder and lightning last week, and note the way that nature works, that perhaps it's to remind us of our place in nature, not over nature, that our ability to be thoughtfully creative, not destructively creative, how to live in harmony with one another and the world around us, not in conflict and competition with one another and the world around us. I'll read you one more passage that she writes. No, I won't because I can't find it. Wait, hold on one second. All right, well, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is. She's talking about living near a pond, similar to Thoreau and Walden's pond, although she doesn't use that example. And she says that to live by a pond and to watch and learn how to live, she says, I don't think I can learn from a wild animal how to live in particular. Shall I suck warm blood, hold my tail high, walk with my footprints precisely over the prints of my hands? But I might learn something of mindlessness, something of the purity of living in the physical senses and the dignity of living without bias or motive. Perhaps what we need to do is live more like that in the world, as opposed to in the way in which we live today. Because if we can do that, then we can achieve the essence of what it was that God was trying to create for all of humanity and all of the world in the first story of the Torah in Breshit, as opposed to in this week's Torah portion, Parshat Noach. So with those lessons, we now turn in our Sidurim to the Mariv service, the evening service, where once again, we focus on the cycles of nature. We rise on page 39 as we are invited to come together for the Baruch Hu, and we rise.
Ya ya la 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 la. Ya ya da 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 da. Ya ya da 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 da. Ya ya da 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 da. Ya ya da 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 ya da da da. Ya ya da 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 da. Ya ya da 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 da. Ya ya da 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 da. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Borach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'dbaro. Elchai v'kayam tamid.
El Chai Bekayam Tamid Yochalel Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Hamari Varavim.
Page 40, Ahavat Olam B'Yisrael Chatolim. Yom Chayenu V'Rafim.
V'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch Atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל שינתם בבניך מהיום ושבתך.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת ויצור.
Page 43. Join with Chazan Smith, the top of page 44.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך בעלים אדוני מי כמוך נעדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה נורא תהילות אוסף אלה מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה זה לי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי ודל יעקב וגרו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Our prayer for peace, page 45, Hashkivenu.
ושמור צאתנו והובאנו לחיים ושלום, מעתה ועד עולם. ופרוס לנו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום, עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
We rise, page 46, Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי בימנך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ואמרו amen.
The Amidah begins silently on page 47, concluding on page 52. We continue with Kaddish Shalem, page 54.
יתגדל שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי, בימניך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב, אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ותהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו. לאלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירם בעלמה, אמרו אמן. תתקבל צלות ההון ובת ההון דכל ישראל, כל דבר והון וישמעיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה משמיה וחיים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום. עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו Amen.
Chazan Smith, do you have wine for Kiddush?
I do indeed.
So I'm going to invite everybody to grab a glass of wine or grape juice if you have it. Wait for 1 minute for Marilyn. There she is.
There she is.
Okay, perfect.
Baruch
Hopefully
atah.
Yochanan is catching up to us as he comes into the
yes.
Zoom room. I know I surprised everybody. Instead of doing it at the end of services, I'm doing it in the spot during the service where it normally is. I don't know why, but maybe we'll just go back and forth just to keep you all on your toes and confuse you.
See if you're actually paying attention.
Exactly. All right, go ahead, Joel.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho b'ahava u'vratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים. כי באנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim, everybody. May it be a sweet Shabbat and a sweet week ahead. Page 56, Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. כך כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו Ushemo echad.
Apologizing for not reciting the mourner's Kaddish before at the end of Kabbalat Shabbat, but we're going to do it now and remembering all of those whose yortzites are this week, the 3rd to the 9th of Cheshvan. Melvin Deutsch, Michael Dinnan, Goldie Druyan, Molly Aiden, Parveen family, Ruben Felinsky, Nahum Franco, Philip Goland, Hilda Goldfarb, Solomon Goodrich, Lester Greenberger, Esther Jenner, Mickey Kalick, Israel Cantor, Lillian Kaplan, Molly Caper, Abraham Katz, Harold Kessler, Lawrence Kornreich, Alan Kramer, Rose Kriegsman, Rose Lehman, Abraham Levine, Foster Levy, Pinya Litt, Ida Litwak, Alfred Lavelle, Edward Morris, Mary Oziel, Isidore Pernitz, Hyman Poulin, Ralph Radwin, Patsy Ransahoff, Ethelyn Robbins, Barney Robbins, Jack Roseman, William Rothstein, George Salden, Ralph Schlesinger, Wallace Shapiro, Lillian Simon, Lillian Singer, Sandra Singer, Byron Smith, Flavia Solomon, Teddy Sugar, Helene Sussman, Pauline Tepperman, Miriam Turner, George Weisfeld, Harold Wiener, Paul Woloshin, Mickey Wool. Those in mourning and observing yortzeit.
It's also my mother's
Hey,
yortzeit. I don't
What's
know.
that?
It's my mother's yortzeit too. I don't know why.
Oh, I'm so glad you told me.
Rachel Friedberg.
Rachel Friedberg. Thank you, Marilyn. Do me please make a note to send a note to the office.
I did.
All right. Meryl, say it again.
Rachel Friedberg.
Rachel Friedberg. Thank you.
Yeah.
May her memory be a blessing.
Thank you.
Mourners and those observing yortzeit, page 58. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divrach yute ve'amlich malchute. B'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam umei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalach shemei d'kudisha b'richu. Ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tishbechata v'nechamata damiran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imru oseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol Yishrei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who brings peace on heavens bring peace to each of us as we say amen. So once again, everybody, Shabbat Shalom. A reminder that this coming Sunday, we have the Sisterhood Book Club at 10 o'clock. And I hope you are able to join. It's going to be on Zoom. I don't have the other announcements in front of me. I left them at the synagogue. I'm sorry. But tune in tomorrow and I will make all the additional announcements other than the Sunday morning book club that is in my mind that I am remembering. Mitzvah Day actually is coming up the first Sunday in October. And Ziggy Boxer and Carol Levin are planning all sorts of wonderful activities for all of the members of Shomer Torah Synagogue to do, both on campus and off campus. So pay attention to your newsletter. There's a bunch of classes that are happening. Last night, we had the first session with Bassam Eid, the Palestinian pro-Israeli, who spoke to us last night. He's going to be speaking again this coming Thursday night and the following Thursday at 7:30. So please register. It's not too late to enjoy learning from him for the next 2 weeks, and lots of other classes and things that are happening. No shortage of opportunities for learning and whatnot. So just read the e-news. You'll get overwhelmed by everything that we do. Let us offer blessings for the children in our hearts, in our families, and in the world. And then if you have challah, we'll make motzi together and then conclude with singing Oseh Shalom. So if you have photos of your kids or if the photos are in your heart, and thinking of all of our children. Chazan Smith is going to lead us responsively in the blessings for our children.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May the Lord bless you and guard you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'choneka.
The Lord guard you and protect you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May the Lord grant you a fullness of peace as we say amen.
Amen.
So does anybody have challah with them? So grab that challah, and if you have a place to wash your hands, go ahead and do that as well. And then we will join together and make motzi as a kihila. And hopefully we're going to find a time when we can come together for a Shabbat dinner at shul, maybe mid-November when Chazan Josh Goldberg is with us. Next week, Friday night, Chazan Smith and our amazing Sababa Sounds band are going to be singing live from the synagogue at 6 p.m. So if you are able to join us in person, join us in person. If not, we will be live streaming. We won't be on Zoom, but we will be live streaming that service next week, Friday, 6 o'clock. And then I believe the next 2 Fridays in October will be on Zoom, but stay tuned. Tomorrow morning, services are at 9:30, and it's not too late to make your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and put them in the bag with some fruit and snacks. Bring them to the synagogue on Tuesday, correct, Ziggy? On Tuesday between 11 and between 1 and
11:30.
What's that?
Between 10:30 and 11:30.
Between 10:30 and 11:30.
And Mitzvah Day is on November 7th.
November 7th. Thank you. All right. With that, making motzi, achad, shnaim, shalosh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem mi'haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon, we conclude with Oseh Shalom.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'yimeru. Amen. Ya ya da 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 da, ya ya da 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 da, ya da da ya da 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 da, ya da da ya da 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 da, ya ya da 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 da, ya ya da 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 da, ya da da ya da 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 da, ya da da ya da 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 da. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'yimeru, yimeru. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. A wonderful, relaxing Shabbat. We'll see you either in person or online tomorrow at 9:30. And have a wonderful Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Yeshikoach. It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's good to
Thank
see
you.
all our long distance friends.
Yes. Good to see everyone. You look
Carmine,
great.
Rachel, Yochanan. It's just so nice that you are continually with us. And we wish you a relaxing, beautiful, and peaceful Shabbat.
Yes.
9:30 tomorrow.